so many teenagers have people in their lives that they could ask advice of. Like it's teachers, parents, friends, like stuff like that you can ask what you do in our situation. And I think that's such like a valuable thing that people are missing out on.
Hey guys, it's Mindi Linscombe, your host of the Something New show, where we are learning how to live a life worth celebrating. And most of the topics we talk about are all about building that life with your relationships, your business, your health, all of those things. So one of the relationships that I think is so vital is our relationships with our kids and parenting and all of that. So we had an outside the box idea to bring in one of my kids today as a podcast guest. And so in the studio is my teenager, my oldest, my firstborn and high schooler, Bear Linscombe. Hey, Bear.
Hey guys, this is cool.
Yeah, he's like always seen the studio. Now he's here. And it's a kind of vulnerable podcast because you are going to tell us the good, bad, and ugly on your side of things.
Oh, yeah.
And I am really honored that you're here to share, but also I want you to feel free to be honest. And I know I'm not perfect. I know Dad's not perfect. We've made a lot of mistakes. So in no way do I want you to, hide those things. I want us to talk about those things. And I've curated a list of questions for you as this season in your life, and also as somebody with entrepreneur parents and lots of siblings.
Totally.
And I think you can tell us some stuff from your perspective that might be helpful for both the parents, because you have some ideas on how we can probably improve, but then also for teenagers that maybe could relate as well. So whoever is listening, I hope you get some things that are very surprising out of this podcast, but also helpful in your relationship. So I would like to ask you, because I'm not a teenager right now in 2024, can we start with what is the hardest part about being a teenager right now?
I think the hardest part about being a teenager is just like everybody's trying to figure out who they are, which makes you not know who you are. It's just like really hard to like everybody with social media and everything. It's just hard to find an identity, especially like a good one that like you don't want to do stupid stuff, but that stuff is sometimes what you think will like make
You popular or something?
Yeah. And you don't want to like, it's just really hard to like balance it out. And it's just tricky because it's the first time anybody's been a teenager, like you only go through it one time. So nobody knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all just kind of thrown into this like pot of like,
Figure it out.
Yeah. So I think that's the hardest part.
Can I tell everyone here that I have not let you have social media?
Which I appreciate, by the way.
I was going to ask you, do you feel upset about that? Or, I mean, maybe sometimes you wish you had it, but overall, do you feel happy you don't?
Yeah. Going into like 7th grade and stuff, like everybody had phones, everybody had BeReal, Snapchat, all the stuff. And I'm kind of glad now looking back that I don't, because like I was saying, it's so hard to find an identity. And when you have social media and you see everybody else has this perfect identity, which they don't, but on social media,
it feels like it.
It's so hard to like, I don't know, find an identity. I think that really helped me. Like, and I'm not saying like I have a perfect, like I'm not, but I think that really helped me be the person that I am, like not having social media, because if I had social media, I probably wouldn't know who I am.
Even more.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're still holding out. We haven't decided when we're going to let you have social media, but we're holding out as long as possible just on that. I mean, probably at some point before you leave our house, it would be helpful before going to college to like navigate that together. I just don't know at what point we're going to get there. Okay. Let's talk about the fact that you have a lot of siblings. Some people maybe only have one kid, but there are a lot of families with a lot of kids, and at our house, there's a lot of fighting. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of arguing, a lot of fighting, even physical fighting, which I'm not going to hide, but I got a lot of boys and
we wrestle.
Yeah. So my question is, what do you actually like about that?
I love my brothers a lot and my sister. They drive me nuts a lot though. But what I realized last week, they all went to camp, and it was just like me, you, and Dad.
Sorry.
No. Like, I'm just saying, it was very like eye opening because like you and Dad went to work like you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like I didn't have siblings to hang out with, and it was just like it's one of those things that you don't realize how like lucky you are until it's taken away, and it's very like.
It was a good week to
It was a
realize
good
that.
week to realize that. Like, I was looking forward to the week. I was going to be like, yes, no siblings. Like, I'm so excited for just, like, the peace and quiet. And by hour 2, I was just like, oh, this
Come
is kind of
home.
boring.
Yeah, come home. Okay.
So that I realized, like, I love the community. And I feel like the trust and, like, we talk about bro code. And, like,
yeah, what would you say I've said about bro code or you guys agree upon?
I think we act a lot like we're always annoyed with each other, but I think if anybody ever stepped in between our relationship, it wouldn't work out.
Yeah, you're going to defend your brother.
Right. And I think the fact that we can like argue and have these fights but still get through it, like, and we still love each other so much, I think it's like really cool that we have that relationship, and almost the fighting strengthens our relationship.
Oh, I don't like to hear that, but okay.
Well, no, not like.
No, it's fine if that's real. I'm just saying.
No, I'm
you
saying,
don't have to fight to build a relationship,
right? But I'm just saying,
it has
it's
helped.
cool that we can fight and still love each other. And I think we should fight less. But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's cool that we can still fight and like love each other, and we'll fight other people if.
You won't have to do that, but
not like
yes,
okay.
Yes, I get you.
You get what I'm saying.
And
Yeah.
I want to say something that I say all the time at home. I say, this group of kids, your siblings, are going to be your longest relationships you ever have, even longer than me and Dad. And they are your best friends. So you might not feel like they're your best friends right now, but we are already helping you realize, like, into adulthood, your siblings are your longest relationship. And historically, that's the case. And just try to build it to a close relationship as much as possible, because this really has the potential to be your best friend. So just reiterating the bro code. And I think I say with bro code as well, is like not just defending your brother, but I say it's important to not embarrass your brother or throw him under the bus or make him feel stupid. Like bro code is like brag about your brother and talk about how great they are in front of other people. Cause you do have great siblings, and sure, they're annoying, but there are some great things about them. And people are much happier to be talked positively about than negatively. And they are your longest relationship. So
yeah. And I'm guilty of it, but I think I've gotten better at like not talking crap about my brothers, because I've had friends come and go, and I realize that they don't last forever. Mm-hmm. And I just know that my like brothers' relationships will last forever, and I love that about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Recently, we just saw the Inside Out 2 movie.
It was very good.
It was good. I wanted to hear the parts of the movie that stood out to you.
I just thought like how cool it was that they've highlighted the like inner beliefs about yourselves. Like dictate your anxiety levels, or just any like negative or positive stuff going on in your life, like internally, is dictated by your beliefs about yourselves. And I think I've really like I attest to this a lot, because we've had conversations like where I think I say about myself I'm dumb, and I say other like stuff about myself that like isn't true. And if I say the positive thing, like I'm smart, I can do this, I can, I like actually realize that I'm capable of that. And it's cool that like they highlighted that in the movie, because I really like noticed that a lot in my life. So that's what I would say I loved about the movie. There's a lot of stuff I could go into,
I know,
but I love that movie.
Was so good. I think you should all go see it with your teenagers, and then plan for a debrief combo afterwards over the teenagers' favorite food or drink, and just sit there and chill and talk about it. Okay, the next one is, what is the best or worst part of having entrepreneurial parents?
Ooh, this is a good one. I think I love that you and Dad are entrepreneurs, and I love how like you've created this like living for us that like you're passionate about, but also it's just cool that you can be your own boss, and you talk about that a lot with us. And I think it's cool. But I also think the worst part is you can be your own boss and you can take time off and be with us. But if there's an emergency at the shop or there's stuff going on, then you have to go to that. So in a way, it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's very like flexible, but also sometimes not. But I think it's cool that you make us a part of it, and that you don't just like go off to work and we don't know what you're doing. Like you tell us what we're doing, what you're doing. Even sometimes like now, like show us what you're doing. And I think it's cool that like we can be a part of it, and that it really teaches us in life how to do it. Because I think when I grow up, I want to be an entrepreneur too. I don't know what that's going to be, but we've had conversations, and I think it's just really neat how like you can be your own boss, and you've talked about that a lot. And yeah.
Okay. How easy or hard does it seem to you to be able to make money?
This is such like an interesting question, because I feel like making money takes hard work. The hardest part of hard work is doing it, like getting yourself to do it. And like even just like, let's say a simple job like mowing the lawn. Like once you get started, you're like, oh, I can just do this in like 15 minutes. But the hardest part is getting yourself to do it. So I think the hardest part about making money in life from that standpoint is like working really hard, and like that 10 years grind, and also not just like working hard like a zombie, but making smart decisions in that, and like investing in the right thing to grow your money, and investing in prioritize your time right, and all this stuff, which I'm still figuring out, obviously. But that's also the other part of having entrepreneurial parents. I can learn from your mistakes, and also like I can ask you for advice and stuff.
Well, let's talk about my friend Scott that was on the show, and he came to visit. Scott Donnell was talking about, just he challenged you to. He's like, you got to see making money as easy, like it's possible. It is hard work, but it's totally possible. And then, he did make you a challenge to see if you can earn $1,000 in 30 days. And you came really close to it. I want to compliment you on that.
Thanks.
But I want to say you said there was mainly one takeaway from Scott that you got. This episode is sponsored by Something Blue 30A. Looking for the perfect vacation spot to disconnect from everything, put your feet in the softest sand, and enjoy a fresh, renovated 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse right on the beach in my favorite place in the world? Well, 30A is situated in the Panhandle of Florida, and I'd love for you to check out Something Blue 30A on Instagram and make it the perfect place for your next vacation.
So he told us, he was talking to me and my brothers. He says, making money is simple. All you have to do is find value in what you're doing. And if you add value to that person's life in a certain way, then they'll pay you for it. And he goes, whether that value is doing hard work so that they don't have to, or doing something that they need to get done, but they just don't have the supplies necessary for it. He gave us the idea of spray painting addresses on curbs, which I didn't do, but I thought that was really clever. And I just think that like, just little ideas like that, like people aren't going to go to Ace Hardware and like
buy all the supplies
when you can like do it for $10 as somebody else. And like,
well, I loved his story about a kid he knows adds like salt to a water purifier thing in people's houses, and he gets them on a retainer, and it's like $5 a month or something like that to go add salt to this thing and in their house.
Yeah.
And then he has like 100 people on his route.
Yeah.
And do the math on that, and he just makes bank, and he just solved a problem, added value, super inexpensive, and he was like a kid. So I think it's so cool to, as an entrepreneur, have other friends that are entrepreneurs be around you guys and give you ideas, because as a parent, I think it's so important that our circle of other people that we introduce you to and you get to have conversations with are shaping you in a positive way, and not just in entrepreneurship, but I think we're really careful about who we put around you when it comes to like, you know, faith and guidance on your faith, or guidance on dating relationships, guidance on, you know, finding a career that you love, guidance on if you should go to college or where, like all those things. As parents, guess what? While you live in our home, we get to choose who comes over for dinner. Yeah. We get to choose who hangs out with us. And those conversations I think you have been exposed to are really intentional. Like we have on purpose had dinner with people that we want you to get to hear from and meet and hear their story. Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. I like it a lot. And I'd say this wasn't like part of the plan, but I just thinking back to a sermon that Daniel Grothy did at Desperation Conference last year. He said, talk to older people and ask them for advice. And I think that like so many teenagers have people in their lives that they could ask advice of. Like it's teachers, parents, friends, like stuff like that you can ask what you do in our situation. And I think that's such like a valuable thing that people are missing out on, especially this last trip that I just went on with you guys to the Wellspring thing. Yeah. Like knowing, like I got to like talk to so many people about like what would you do to make money if you were my age? What would you do to get closer to God if you were my age? And I just got so much value out of that like 2-day weekend that like I think people are missing out on, like just out of like people, like adults you see every day.
Yeah, like you can just ask them the question, and most adults are willing to share the answer. Right. You just got to be brave enough to ask the question. Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's something I'd say to teens, like, yeah, or tweens.
Yeah, ask the advice. Okay. Now let's talk about just having a working mom, because I started my business before you were born. I, you know, definitely worked the entirety of your life. You've never known me not as a working mom. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, I know it hasn't always been easy. What's been like the harder part? And then also what's been like, hey, I'm proud of it. There's a benefit too.
Yeah, I think all I've ever known is having working parents. And I kind of like it, to be honest, because you guys are so intentional with us when you're around us that like it doesn't feel like when you're gone, like it doesn't feel like you're always gone and like you don't care about us, because you go the extra mile to make sure that like we're cared for. And I think I would almost rather you be working parents and do it the way that you guys do, because you go on trips and you, instead of staying that extra night so you could have like a mini vacation out of it, you come back and you tell us that you like came back because you wanted to be with us. And I think that's just like so important that I'm going to do when I'm a parent. And I hope that other kids' parents are doing it. I just really hope that if you have working parents, I'm so glad that you guys like make it intentional to know that we're the priority and not the work. And that's why you do the work. You do the work for us, and you don't work in spite of us.
Right. And I will say I've been guilty of answering emails on my phone at night when I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be connecting with you. And so I just want to say thank you, because I have been
right. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. And the 17-year-old be like, Mom, like it's our time right now. It's our time. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Because I'll get distracted when an urgent email comes through, or, you know, I want to solve a customer service problem or be there for my team because they're so important to me. But you're really good at sometimes just reminding me like, hey, pause. Like you'll be like, hey, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah. And
I'm sorry if I do it a little too much, but
no, it's good.
I do value like our one-on-one time a lot. So.
I know. So it's good. You can call me out on that one. It's because it's a goal of mine to be very present. Okay. What are helpful conversations that we have had in, you know, just your short life that stand out to you?
We've talked a lot about business conversations and faith conversations and stuff, but more immediately, like dating advice, those like conversations you've had with me, and I don't always take it, but like you were right about a lot of things, whether I took the advice or not. Just like that, those conversations, like really, I remember them a lot. And just like the fact that I could be so open with you, I remember those conversations a lot with you too. So yeah, to answer your question,
Is there a piece of dating advice that you're like, I hope everyone, if their family doesn't share this, like this would be, or let's say the moms are listening or the dads are listening and they're like, tell your kid this was really good for me.
wait.
Wait to date.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I didn't take that advice, I'd say. And then like now looking back, I'm like, I guess like it's not
Nothing bad
like,
came from
yeah,
it.
no, nothing bad. I'm just saying like
You can't
as I
get
get
that
older,
serious. Yeah,
right,
you can't get that
like
serious.
you can't really date until you drive. Like there's like no point in doing it until you can actually take a girl on a date. And I think you've given me that advice, and that's my advice now.
It's just kind of hold
Yeah.
off until you can actually have a date and
Right.
yeah, go on dates. I know. I was like, just have a lot of good friends for now.
Right.
Okay. And then let's see. Okay, let's get real about what embarrasses you. Like, what do we do as parents that embarrass you?
Ooh. I think, okay, less serious when you say things like the conversation we had, when you say things that you heard people saying and you just like so out
When
of
I
pocket.
try to use the young language slang,
Yeah.
you mean when I'm trying to say,
W-Riz.
you're like, don't say that,
Yeah.
Mom.
So that's probably like not that deep. That's really funny and embarrassing when you do that. But I think probably, I don't know. You're not that embarrassing. That's the thing. Like,
But what should I like avoid? Like I'm trying to be not an embarrassing parent. So what's something that you're like, Mom, please just be mindful.
maybe giving space. Like, I don't think that having you around when my friends are around is bad. I just think if you're like too much and you like talk to them and like not, you're allowed to talk to my friends, but like,
Just let you guys do your thing.
yeah, I think sometimes, which you're pretty good at it, but like sometimes you're just always trying to make my friends happy or are always like, I don't know, telling them about me, stuff that I don't really want you to tell them about me. Just stuff like that. That's kind of like embarrassing. And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like,
Just if we host people over, let
Yeah.
you guys hang.
like you trying to be the cool mom is almost embarrassing because
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure everybody has food
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they're hungry or whatever they want,
Right.
just so they're comfortable. But I understand what you're saying. Just
Yeah.
give people, like, assume that they'll find what they need when they're at our house instead of checking in.
yeah.
Got it.
So
Okay. And then what are things that you're like, hey, these are things parents, including us, but other parents can do to make you guys feel proud of us as your parents? Like you're not embarrassed, but now you're thinking like, oh, I'm so glad that's my mom and dad.
yeah, I think before I answer that question, I think it's so important for like people to not be embarrassed by their parents. Cause even on this DC trip that we just went on, like I saw people like embarrassed because their mom was there, like,
When their mom's awesome.
right.
Yeah.
And like, I love their mom and I'm like, dude, like your mom's great. Like, and I think it's just, you feel obligated to be embarrassed by your mom because you have this like false idea that nobody likes your mom. But like, I think you're cool. And like, it's cool to like,
Have
I think,
parents that
yeah,
care about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And I
matter
think
what I think. It doesn't matter what your parents are into or what they're like or what they look
Right.
like or what they dress like. The fact that they care about you, like you're
Right.
so lucky you have a parent that cares about you.
And it's almost cooler, like loving you and having you around and like the same thing that we were talking about with the brothers. It's cooler to talk good about somebody than to talk crap about them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'd say to people. But to answer your question, I think the thing I'm most proud of is how you are like okay with stuff like nothing surprises you. Like there's some crazy stuff that you heard on the DC trip and stuff. And you're like, oh, cool. And like, I think that the fact that you have been there and you talk to my friends and like they feel like they could talk to you is the thing I'm most proud about. Because I feel like a lot of my friends really like you a lot and would be comfortable talking to you about stuff. Like one of my friends on the way to DC sat next to you, had a full-on conversation. And it's just funny because I love that guy, and it's just cool how he like
just shared his life. Yeah. Well, I think it is important that we don't respond with shock and awe to kids when they tell us stuff going on in their life.
Right.
Because it does make them feel a little bit safe to see, okay, like, you know, maybe this is a hard time, but we as adults have seen people go through it before or gone through it ourselves, and to just support and encourage rather than go like, oh my goodness, you know, but instead come alongside, how can I help? Like, let's support and encourage the youth of today. Yeah.
So that's, to answer your question, that's what I'm most proud about you guys, and that you and Dad are so like invested in not just me, but like my friends and my community. So yeah.
Well, I want to say thanks for sharing, because again, I have messed up a lot. Dad has messed up a lot.
It's okay. I'm not denying, but I love you.
And I think one of the things I've tried to do is just really apologize when I do make mistakes and say, hey, that wasn't cool. I've totally seen your dad apologize too, and say, hey, we lost our patience, or we could have talked about this better or set us up for success better. With this schedule is just, too hard, or whatever it might be. And I think it's good to keep connecting with your kids, to check in and say, hey, how's it going? What can I do better? What have I, like, that's even cool about this conversation, to hear what are you enjoying and what are you not enjoying about, our relationship, because it goes so fast now. You think about it, in 4 years, you're going to be going off to college. And so it's not much time to really, that's what I'm saying. I try to make the most of the time we do have, and not just like, check out. Like when we're together, I want it to be really, hey, what's going on in your heart? What's going on in your life that is concerning you, bothering you, and how can we go there?
Yeah, and I think what separates good parents from great parents is the fact that great parents will own when they mess up. I think that when you guys own what you messed up, it's like such a strengthening bond between our relationship, that like you trust us enough to tell us that you messed up when we know you messed up, but you just like owning the fact and not denying it. And I think that's such a good like thing that we have in our relationship, and it teaches us to be like that with other people, because everybody's going to mess up.
Right.
But if you own your mistake, then you can be so much more relatable with people, because they're like, yeah, you did mess up, but you know that. It's fine.
It's humility.
Yeah. And then also, oh, man.
Did you lose it?
I lost it. That's okay. I was going to say something, but I lost it.
Well, if it comes back, you tell me. But I think for today, that's a really good starting point. And I know all the kids want to be on this show, but we're going to just start with one. I said to Brody today, Brody was like, I want to be on the show. I was like, well, I'm going to start with my oldest, and then we'll get to you next, Brody. You're the second one in line. So, but I want to say thank you, because maybe once a year we can have one of the kids on here and get some of their thoughts about life.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
On. But thank you for your honesty today.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
If you thought Bear did a good job, or you want to give him a shout out, definitely leave a comment below. And we hope that you can let him know. And subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about it, because we're really all about getting a healthy family, a healthy marriage, healthy relationships in your life, so that you can live the life that you really are meant to live. So thank you guys for joining us again today on the Something New Show. I hope to see you next week. We have really exciting guests coming out this summer, and we'll see you there.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow The Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.